Welcome to the Parks Board meeting for, what day is it? February 9th. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The City of Gladstone is abiding by guidelines set forth in House Bill 2560, which requires the governing body of the public body to extent reasonably possible to make all meetings accessibly remotely through technological means and provide opportunity for members of the general public to remotely submit oral and written testimony during meetings to the extent in-person oral and written testimony is allowed. Therefore, this meeting will be open to the public, both in person and virtually using the Zoom platform. Kristen, can we call the roll, please?
Yep. Kate Cornelius.
Here.
Kim Agramson. Eric Butler.
Here.
Nancy Turner.
Present.
Bruce Hildreth.
Present.
Manny Pacheco. Ian Moore.
Ian's on his way, so we're hoping he's going to get here. All right. Our first order of business will be the approval of the minutes from the January 12th meeting. Did anybody see anything they were concerned about or corrections that need to be made?
I would move to approve.
Okay.
8 seconds.
Okay, I have a motion that's been made by Bruce Hildreth and seconded by Kate Cornelius to approve the meeting, the minutes from the January 12th meeting. Do we need to take a vote on that? No? No? Okay. At this point, we're going to adjourn the meeting so that we can attend the Metro Community Grant Workshop that's happening here tonight. So if I could get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
8 motions, we adjourn.
So the motion has been made by Kate, and do I have a second?
Eric seconds.
Okay. Can we proceed with the vote?
Yes.
Eric Butler.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Nancy, you turn on your mic and face them that way. Oh. Yeah, we're gonna put a couple of them.
Gotcha. But then I have to face this direction instead of the folks over here. I'll come up here. Thank you for sharing your seat with me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Guzman Arroyo. I'm the Community Investments Division Manager for Metro Parks and Nature. Metro Parks and Nature is who's funding this particular initiative. It's our Community Choice Grants Program. It's funded by our 2019 Parks and Nature Bond. This is our second round doing Community Choice Grants. Our first round was actually in Washington County. It was our pilot round, specifically because this is a little bit of a different style of grant making than we traditionally do. This one's really driven by community. And so I'm going to just share a couple of key talking points and then turn it over to our consultants, Not and Colocate, to talk about kind of what we're going to do here today. So some context around the program. So we are actually investing in what is known as Metro's District 2, which Gladstone is certainly a part of that, for different grant initiatives and projects specifically that are increasing access to nature for community members. And so today, it's going to be one of 4 design workshops that we're going to have in our District 2. It's specifically working on a total of 50 different projects across District 2. Today, we're going to focus on specifically the projects that are in Gladstone. But essentially, we've had a couple of phases already. So we had community come up with tons and tons of different ideas that they submitted online through a web portal. Over 100 different ideas that they submitted. And then we hosted one round of community design workshops to take those ideas and turn them into viable projects. So folks gathered in similar types of community engagement events and workshops like today. And then we put them before community for a first round of vote. Out of that first round of vote, we ended up yielding the projects that we are bringing forward to community in these next 3 weeks exactly. 2 design workshops this week, 1 next week, and 1 the 3rd week. So today we're hoping that we look at those projects together. We work with our consultants that are here with us and essentially elaborate on those programs or those projects a bit further. And then ultimately, after these 3 weeks of design workshops, we're going to put them again before community to make a vote on which projects are going to ultimately receive funding to come to fruition. So when I mentioned earlier that this is a different type of grant making program, it certainly is, because usually we get applications from jurisdictions or community-based organizations or even sometimes community groups, but the projects are already pre-designed. Then we analyze them for, do they meet our criteria, and we fund them. This one, it's the community as a whole. It could be individuals, it could be neighborhood associations, it could be literally groups of friends who are submitting project ideas, and then we're working collaboratively to make an iterative project that we then vote on together as a community and get funded. So thank you for joining us today, because it is quite a bit of work to make these projects into viable projects for the community to get them funded. And so I want to actually turn it over to Knott Studio to talk a little bit about how is this going to function today.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. This is my first time on the dais, I think. Yeah, it's pretty intimidating. Yeah, my name is Andrew Tillinghast. I'm with Knott Studio. I am a landscape ecologist and designer is my title. Just speaking, I think Elizabeth summed up where we are in the program pretty well. You can, and it's pretty exciting for us to be at this stage because we've been working first in the pilot program in Washington County and now here in Clackamas County for years now. And this second stage of design workshops that we're in is really where kind of the rubber hits the road. We've been out in community quite a bit. We've held events across the jurisdictions. We've had a really productive series of meetings with parks providers and jurisdictions here in Clackamas County. We've talked directly with folks at community events, and it's been, a really wonderful outpouring of ideas. And now we are tasked with the grave responsibility of trying to put some form to these ideas and get them to a place, shepherd them to a place where they can be described with enough accuracy that we can turn around back to the voting public and say, is this something that you value? Is this something that you want to see in your community? So again, it's really wonderful for us to be here. We have a few different goals for the day. As Elizabeth said, we have 37 projects that are in the running for the district at this point. We're working on 7 of them today here that are in the general Gladstone area. They're not all city of Gladstone, as the property owner necessarily, but so we're working on these 7 projects. We have them described in kind of a general open language. You see them on these 3 boards here, this A, B, and C. And those A, B, and C correspond with these 3 tables. We've got Excel here at one of them, and Mara Lee here at table B, and Elizabeth and Anita over here at table C. So we're going to be running through 3 basically half-hour rounds where we gather together, we share some information about what we know about the projects, about the context, about where the idea came from, about what folks have been saying about the idea, and then we're bringing our skills as designers and facilitators together to try to, again, kind of start thinking about what form this has, what are the zones of the site that are more that work better with different kinds of uses, and what are like the general like priorities that people might have for, well, okay, we have $250,000 in possible grant funding. How are we going to spend that money? You know, because this program I think is pretty unique. It's a participatory budgeting problem, so project. So folks are, you know, put in that that space of trying to prioritize budgets, which is something that the public isn't always asked to do in such a direct way. So those are the kind of the goals in the general outline. Like I said, each of our project development rounds is going to be about half an hour. We're going to ask participants, anyone who's not a facilitator, to kind of look at our list of projects and try to sign up for projects that they're interested in collaborating on at the outset. So if there are, once we do that, you know, we have information again on these boards, and we have a sign-up sheet. Where's our sign-up sheet? At the welcoming table. Very good. So at each table, we're going to have one person who's kind of facilitating the conversation, and another person who's there as the pencil, who's drawing things on the site plan and trying to, you know, bringing our landscape architectural skills. We also have, if you're not sure that you want to participate in that way, we also have, you know, this listening table here where with a series of forms you can fill out if you want to submit kind of written comment, just, you know, stay independent and not collaborate in that space. There's also an online comment form that fulfills the same purpose. So that's the general outline. Let's see. What's next? Yeah, that's right. Okay. Tina, did you want to jump in? Oh, awesome.
Here, I'm Frank Ochita. I'm a local Gladstone person. I've grew up and lived here all my life. And this is Cutie, my little dog. I'm a member of TriMet's Committee on Accessible Transportation, and I have been working with the NIN Nature in Neighborhoods. And I want to get all to consider that to make it universal design, make it accessible for everybody in the community. That's one thing we really want to push is that we want to make these parks last for a long time, and we want everyone in the community to enjoy them. So I'm here to help you with anything. So if you have any questions about the different kind of things, I'm glad to help anybody with the accessibility point of it. Thank you.
On that point, and we do have at the front, there's kind of learning lens that is a way of, gives a kind of series of different ways that you can think about enhancing access and accessibility, that's just kind of principles. So that's another place to draw inspiration from and maybe questions from. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, I'm just really grateful for everyone that's here and collaborating with us on these projects. You know, once we get to the tables, we'll have a little bit more specific guidance on like how we kind of move through the questions that we're asking and the process that we're in. You know, any input that we get is great. These projects, there is actually quite a bit of range in kind of where they are, how developed they are. And versus how you know how open they are, how much form they really need to take. So we'll work together and yeah. Yes, absolutely. Okay, I should have them memorized because I've been drawing these tabled up for weeks. So over here, table A. The first project is going to be project that we call Meldrum Bar Restoration. It's at Meldrum Bar Park, and it's categorized as a habitat and restoration project, but like actually quite a number of projects in our 37. It's a lot about access to nature, really, and it's about getting people reducing barriers to folks to experiencing nature, and particularly the river in this case at Meldrum Bar. At table B, we're going to be starting with a project at John Wetton Elementary School here in Gladstone, and it's a schoolyard greening project. So that would be a project that's focused on kind of play and learning and delight via the values that the Nature in Neighborhoods project brings, which has to do with habitat and reducing the environmental burdens like the urban heat island effect and all these things that we're fighting against. Table C, we're starting with a project called Shade for the Clackamas South Bank, and this is a project that there's a couple of versions of during this session. They're really about urban tree canopy and trying to help to reduce the water temperatures in the Clackamas River, but also bring those sort of multiple benefits to community that trees bring. So that one is that's the South Bank. This is actually on the south bank of the Clackamas River, along the Clackamas River Trail on the Tri-City property. So we'll be able to share more information then. So we'll be doing half an hour on those three projects and then moving forward into the subsequent ones at each table. So maybe we can start there and folks can start to circulate and think about what they're interested in and sign up for projects. Does anybody have any?
On your way to whatever project you want to do, you probably don't kind of set it up so if we had like a critical mass, like we would make sure that there was enough space at each table. But I think we have plenty of space, so just feel free to make your way to a table if that one of those projects interests you.
Yeah, so let's actually take the next 10 minutes.
Clear as mud.
We have a little sticky dots,
Sticky dots, yeah, sticky dots. We're past the sticky dot point. We're supposed to be.
So maybe I get it, but
No, we've done a lot of sticky dots over the past few months. Absolutely. There.
All right, cool. We'll go down and look.
Let's check it out.
Yeah. Back pocket. Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Not bad for driving across town.
From North Portland.
Okay, so
5 minutes.
did you, okay, so I think for sure you want to do that one. But
Yeah.
that's not till 7.
Yeah, that was.
But so Meldon's gonna be back in there. That's it. What's that? It's in part, yeah.
They're gonna.
Yeah, in the barn. Yeah, as long as the red lights on.
Everyone, I just wanted to make one more quick announcement that I forgot, really quick. That we have interpreters here for folks who speak Spanish as their primary language or prefer to speak in Spanish. We have we have someone who's here interpreting for American Sign Language as well. Interpreters, wave your hands. Hi. So please avail of our services. Thank you very much.
And it might be that you have to. I like.
Like.
I tried to recruit. I'm there in the. Hi. Oh, excellent. Nice to meet you. Do you want to work on the schoolyard? Sure. That would be amazing. No, I usually walk in and out of the house. Yeah, that's a full table. There we go. And it should be somewhere else. That would be it. There. Oh, okay. Good deal. Play this out tonight. Over here, over here.
Yeah, yeah. Right, yeah, exactly. Like people, right? Oh, this one's great.
Some of our. So my name is. So I'm really here to help bring perspective, but also really translate. I'm supporting us. Going away later, so because I information on this. Thank you. Okay. We are just starting with introductions. Super.
That's, not super common. All right, so.
I'm Gabby. I'm also on the.
I'm Sophia Esther. I'm a facilitator.
Yeah, so they're.
Still makes sense.
Yeah, my house, work for Metro, work for All right, so I assume we have the rundown on schedule or.
Not too much.
Okay.
We just sat down.
Perfect.
Super.
All right, now to the questions, the way this is going to work is we have our site economics. Go over the project descriptions, already recommend. And then we'll kind of open it up to Airbnb, Sophia, and then about the site itself, it's sort of limitations, challenges, opportunities, zoning on first, and then you're just for setting the table for work. After that, we'll spend some time going through the different elements, defining the layout, spatial arrangement that works. And we'll sort of conclude by discussing how much certain elements cost, we'll start to prioritize the elements that are most important, and how like we can choose the ones it was in our budget there. So, all right, so Mary, since you have that right in front of you, would you like to?
Okay, so, a description of the project. Elementary school children love to play and explore in nature. This project imagines a new place for this school that's built. Exploration for all. Playground. The new plantings. Into beds that feature multiple offering both. So the category for this is play. Native plant, play, classic, and then elements. Here, nature playground, nature plant. Jurisdictional partners are the Gladstone School. That's what I have.
That's great. So. It's on the wet building. Take you to Max Patterson Park. Yep, right.
Last look around, because there was some discussion around. Is that the other element? It's not that one. Thank you. That was my one concern.
Thank you for that.
We did our interview. I think this one.
I think for the time being, of course, they're like replacement for the existing playground, like I need the other new equipment. This would be a substitute for thing three that stands up there. That is outside the scope of this particular project, that we're going to focus principally on what's happening at this. So just so you know, while we're working, Marilyn is going to be drawing and taking down your ideas and stuff, but I wanted to know, by all means, grab a pen, grab a marker, grab a stick. If you have thoughts or notes that you like, write them down, throw them on here, so that's awesome. Okay. So.
Oh, we know there are big trouble. And, yeah, so everything is okay. There's a small play area.
They call it the tax law, they call it.
And then, potential for street side.
Relatively fast driving.
Yeah.
It's very accessible, accessible, parking lot. So I have people that have a free reign, work on the side. So, yeah, the else, you can run that description, there's some strike is interesting, or we should be like starting off.
As we're talking to you, so. You want it yourself, right?
Abilities to small part. Watch that and. Yes.
Talk with Wes.
In terms of what it is to make sure a little bit.
Probably this.
Yeah. You have things like Matt Patterson from Memorial Park over here that was around. Anything like we should be favoring. Yeah, Jason's here, this is really good school.
Anything that's not built up in areas.
My preference would be. We don't have any south side. And that's a very slow. Makes it
Yeah.
Potentially their nature play or, capturing space close to this great opportunity, the trees that you just described. And then we're gonna get, we're gonna get all the shade house in this direction. You leave the center open or running, more field type activity.
So with the proximity.
Yeah, interior from. That's
Create a boundary, yeah.
I wanted to do it.
like.
We even say, yeah, like trying to create a little road.
Yeah, it can be.
Wrap that.
That developed text from the street. One to read is very. So people are. Play too long, these are all wide.
Give me a.
Nature trails.
If you have these rows, columns, you just want to keep those really strict or break them up and add, a nature area here or a field area here. Create some, some variation, or you want to really sort of linear.
That was my imagination. The one I have. Probably. Good transition. Good say.
So evaluate, also how to say, what's been the impact on our business? We're constantly right.
It's pretty flat, it's probably.
I think sometimes we got
That whole idea. Thinking about. There is actually not understanding. Like what, the bands that are super.
And some kind of AI.
Like on the material you were showing, there are a lot of. I'm also very curious.
Also, just drop it down. Now,
Challenge
that's why. This time, because they decided that, you gotta have people understand what you're doing.
So does that affect how you feel about this like central trade?
I want to make sure.
And we will too, just some context. One, we have had some conversations in school here. To talk about this site in particular. Additionally, after the second round of workshops, we go back to the jurisdictions as partners to get their feedback on what's here, sort of refine these before the finalized preparation and finalize the previous term. They're still at a pretty schematic level, even when we get to like the voting.
And in addition, most Oregon, food plans, for shape. This is the striving to create. I can work on.
So, thinking about these sort of line creating shade or creating space or like native seafood things. Do you have thoughts on that kind of trees? These are that along here are a street from
Say Martin Ashby.
right. They're gonna be if they're deciduous, they're gonna be lower and bushy. What else? Right. If they're conifer, western red cedar, or redwood, or spruce, they're gonna get much taller. And therefore have a much longer shafts, which gives you the opportunity for gardens and things like without as much having to go
Yeah. Given that some flat space. Next house depends. More difficult.
That's right, usually
But also. So, but any way in which like.
I imagine
You need to bring.
maybe not planting. Like, that like fruit quality is going to make that.
Yeah, there.
As much as that would be cool, I also anticipate that could also pose a problem for maintaining. Being able to be on it.
And I don't know if we've had those, we've had specific conversation yet. But I know that our first round. There are several jurisdictions that simply would not take.
Yeah, and they're, yeah.
They also-
exactly.
None of them.
Right.
Well, then would you want to have sort of different, on one side, maybe more natives, and then on the other side, more trees or sort of different typologies or different sort of environments?
Oh, nice to get around, holidays, right? So you have maybe there's a driver section here, so you have something. You know, so there's a wide variety. Yeah, anything towards, you know. We could have our like succession trees.
Yeah.
Road.
Oh, yeah.
Pinnings for that. I think there's a lot of. If you focus like around. Reading like.
You know, in the site, it's not everyone like the diverse side.
Right.
But there is like there can be a high side, it's drier, and then there's gonna be a low side, wetter. Which one's which? Sides up there.
That's why I hear that.
That's why you go north, south.
Happy, I say that I have access to the map, maybe just scroll the different, the overlays are. So I leave anything that's green and just plug plain, but I'm pulling out a heat. Makes things a little bit complicated. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you put a structure there. Yeah.
It would be really talk about.
Ways start having zeros on the end.
Yeah.
Teaching about.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the argument that has always in sort of zones, specializing in certain findings.
Well, the one that's down.
You gotta make sure it's not. This is for kids. They use plays of touch nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Park, which has some nature patches. There, it's off. It's like, you know, if that's nice. Doesn't, well, it's great with the word. You swear. And, anyway, not, but.
Thanks, have you seen
My. Working on 8,000 days. Now my kids are playing with money. That's their flag. Yes, you know, first ones, there's really not part of it. And we. Yeah, it's really just.
This is always under.
It's challenging. Site over there. They did increase parking. Yeah, spaces right in education. They also. Sense the experience. Now, the world is thing, just. That's sensors because And they actually walk them on. Yeah, I just don't.
I mean, in an elementary school,
See, as we're stuck with kids, they often like getting things up like. Everybody is like, shopping cart and things like.
This year it's probably will be. Wrong side is challenging because like, yeah, sometimes it goes down, honestly, less than 10 of them are using rigs. So they don't understand it's the these things. Even our those up down. That's what we told. It's a lot of. It's a lot it's really throughout. Yeah, it's always being out and the line. That's below. Yes, they want them. The thing is, you put money out, then you're gonna slow down to Elk Beach. That's a short lived.
The project description, it does talk about raised bed. As part of that is also raising a short filter wheelchairs and also like putting them that they
Your best son would be on the side. So maybe.
we don't, or what if you like that? Then it goes on.
Also, some design on that. Yeah, so it's a short one. Yeah, so it's like. And then you go down and you come to the same results. Yeah, so he said, yeah, you.
A lot of experience. So you're just bringing a lot of expertise.
That's why you choose. We also have the funding part.
yeah, so it's just about time to move on to that, so now we're gonna take those chips that are there and start looking at what the seven elements cost, and make sure that we are considering with the budget and prioritizing. So I mean, you have a sheet of pretty good, you know, about how much the elements are. We kind of work through some of the ones we've got out now, see where we are, and then start carrying it in the front, so. So starting with that sort of western edge there, we talked about some like such play or some such there. I know that's pretty pricey piece of right there, right? Some yeah, budget boards, but after.
Yeah.
$38.
Yeah.
It's not weird. Let's say we take about 10 of those and throw that on the list to start with. Here we go.
Habitat restoration of the forest. Yeah. Also, then it needs $5 or something. It's entire.
On the left side of the water, we have been smoking that. It makes carbon experience.
They like.
Inches, and where's the?
Right, they're back. So another three. Oh, there's better.
So. Why is
Yeah, planting. How do you think that all your choices you get like
So it's going to be those
14 trees per 10,000.
I was.
right now. I probably have 20 to 30 years there.
Separator that needs a part.
Yeah, rain garden, trees garden on that.
Walking gardens.
Yeah, I like all those things that I've been. Yeah, this is another one. There's another one. They get thrown up. Oh my gosh.
Give me your number.
Yeah, take a look at this.
Around the area.
Also, drinking down.
Well, that's fine, and like this project, like. You can see it, like. There's this area.
Run water for that.
If you're wanting.
So we have. This is.
There are.
Don't say up there. And there's.
Successful.
We're gonna be partially here and other places where this.
I would say it should supplies in close to this bed area.
Here, so.
Yeah,
This is. I think we take my heart out. I get down for their. Right now, they're pretty.
I want some buffers. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
I had more there. Working, that's pretty light. That might be. And given what we've said we budget for this, it's already low. Not still might be pretty low. That look at all the movies, that some areas in this, I reflect how you're feeling about what's doable.
Lifespan.
So.
Yeah, Ben.
I don't have to bring it back, say.
Is it a worthwhile investment? I mean, all investment costs money to maintain. But does this provide an experience for kids?
It does. So it's always designing.
Well, I make this, now that we go back to the church section. To the school. Talk to these parents with them, what they can afford.
I know that.
I think it's.
Yeah. All right, well, let's say it's take 2 minutes. And we'll come back to work on the next project. Thank y'all. You come back. Disturbance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a. We have. Process.
They're on now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a matter of 20 million. I don't know. Rest of your week.
Requirement that.
Guided the conversation well. I was one piece of having the little token for all of the priorities. Kind of seems like somewhere is like, people think that like staff so that people are so long. I sort of think having that. It's sort of like that. Yeah.
I know there was discussion about doing those.
And rail dogs stuff. They really. Conversation where we had.
Knew exactly. That's true, yeah. Yeah. I run down across the days and
There's a usable bulb for like out the park for the boat ramp. And then the basically where it's on is the.
No, I don't.
Yeah, for the choice.
Other side. Did it quick.
Like trail lines. Yeah, you like the whole. Yeah. Use the pressure on. User trails here.
Hi, everyone. All right, so I think our conversations are wrapping up for round one projects. We're going to go ahead and get started with round two. And round two, we're only going to have 2 tables instead of 3. So the 2 tables to the left, if I'm facing the room, so facing the clock to the left of the room. On table 8, we're going to be discussing project number 33, which is Shade for the Clackamas North Bank. Its location is at Cross Park in Gladstone, and a key focus is habitat and restoration. Then on table B, we're going to be focusing on project 123, Adaptive River Access at Riverside Park, located at Riverside Park in Clackamas County, and a key focus is trails and access. So just take a minute or two to decide what project you'd like to focus on. We're going to get started in a minute or two. For folks who didn't get a chance to get food, there are tamales in the back of the room. There's pork, chicken, and vegetarian, which is mushroom. The mushroom ones are in the middle, just in case you weren't sure which ones they were. Thanks, everyone.
This is not tight enough.
Are these the notes from that one? Nice. Okay. I spent the morning with Susie. Oh, planning our new beer checks. Just and then, or do you mean the show?
Oh, I just like that.
Gave me like these, yeah, just material. Pantry.
Is this the round one? Yes.
So figure out what they're all like.
You think
Got another one.
she wouldn't need it to try it.
Good here?
You don't want it.
So, yeah, we are doing a lot of restoration work at that park right now, and some public infrastructure already. I'll get the whole story of it. This park has good bones and it needs a lot.
You guys need thinner paper to your secret better.
It's the office with the water. And they authorized the park part of it.
Oh, awesome. You're welcome. Oh, you're always welcome. Oh, that's great. Yeah, we're doing malls now, so we stay tight till it stops raining, right? We got so late. Yeah, malls are good. So we still don't want to like it. So want to give that big. And now, working since early 2020.
Yeah.
So we got some funding, just about the block district.
Everybody would want it.
A project.
Everybody wants the Melder one.
City.
More controversy there, I think.
Yeah, that one's also, it's Gladstone.
I mean, it's really bad.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
And then this Riverside.
Yeah, River.
But supervisor of the state has gotten really engaged, there's been a lot of work here.
That one I think is shade.
Then.
Or Welcome Bar. I think they're shade for the second.
Even take out, I don't think, that's always, they can always. But they granted this.
Yeah, there's some, that one, there's some space on the north side of the water treatment plant
Yeah.
that they're thinking about.
This. That's sort of.
Oh, nothing, just on north of the pump station.
Yeah.
There's like an open area that has some like sort of informative trails right? That's pretty open, so it'd be increasing shade for some of that.
You've been down there.
Is it because it's over?
I work for Quebec, or works near me.
Is it just the soil or?
So, stories, they
Drop down from
There's
across.
a lot of graph in there and they.
White fence there. Some trails go straight down.
Not to the shade,
Oh.
people work at the city right now, in the past.
East of the pump
North of.
Right, okay.
And.
North of the pump station is
Only that one.
I'm coming. This is on the south bank. By like the transfer station. The treatment center over there.
So.
So.
They're out and about now.
Riverside Park. Totally getting distracted.
Oh, sorry.
But if you'd like to have a Riverside Park, let's get into it.
Okay.
So please have a seat. And we'll start off with just some brief introductions, so make affiliation if you'd like.
We've already.
Can I bring in Ray here, because Ray is with the water board.
There is a Washington sign that it.
They live here.
And
Now I can just.
then, and then also there is. There's the whole site of the bathroom, separating out. There's a bunch of girls posted on it that we've been.
About the south part over there, over there.
Great, Anne, would you like to?
Oh, sorry, there, so kind of giving some input on officially, we would like to see really trying to revitalize the park. If it has back there, and they're like it's big part. And I think it's just to see what everybody else has. Is thinking and
This is
out there, things that we can.
This is way so.
Or the big thing for me is accessibility.
I noticed.
They can actually access the river on this side.
There's a lot of.
On the other side is forested area. Mostly fenced off.
City had to put a big.
So
sign down.
the right side there is.
Oh, no, and.
Looking at expanding.
In that or is it over?
Right where.
Standing that down. That is actually.
That's the north bank. I'm Eric. I am on the Parks and Rec board. I also work for Blackness River Basin Council, and we are a very active partner in this park. We actually have two grants right now where we're doing a lot of revegetation work, both in the natural area and kind of along the bank within the park. And so we also recently commissioned an indigenous art piece that's going to be going in near the boat ramp. We're still kind of going through permitting things that the county think one of the advantages of having all the Sunrise Corridor investment is that there are other folks from the county who are basically helping us cover the cost of all the engineering for that. A big challenge here is that much of the park is not just floodplain, but floodway, which means that building anything within that area becomes, it will give you a lot of gray hairs. But yeah, we've been taking school groups and volunteers there a lot, and yeah, we're doing a lot of vegetation work. But as we found out, even just in this last December, floods are an issue, and the green space is a big mess right now. So I'm actually going back to the drawing board with a bunch of my plans and trying to figure out some more cleanup just to be able to get crews that they're gonna keep what they're gonna do.
I'm right here in Cheetah. I do work in wheelchair hiking as well, like nature and neighborhoods, make things more accessible. Idea. I'm a lifelong Gladstone resident. With Gladstone is great school, everything. So, and we do hike, both sides of the right of the park as well. Great park. So I'm really interested in seeing what we can get done. So this is the latest stuff.
I'm Sophia Upton, I'm a facilitator with Co-Locate Design. I'm part of the team helping to keep the.
Real, she wrote from a term program and a term for the grants.
There and or 4 o'clock was county office. Some stuff at Clackamas Service in town.
Oh, my name is Anne. And my role
Okay, so where we'll start today, I'm just gonna go over the project description as it is today. Just like some groundwork, and then we're gonna start talking about the site, its limitations, obstacles, challenges, opportunities, etc. And then we'll start getting into some of the elements we'd like to see here. Before finally coming to like that prioritization and what can be done within budget, etc. Okay, so just to start us off, the idea is an adaptive river access to the Riverside Park. So people of all ability would like to get in the river. The project imagines an all ability river access point on the Clackamas River. There are accessible paths down to the river from a physical climbing area with a launch point that is conducive for different entities to use. Carrying restoration through to help the river. So again, this is covering access, people restoration, accessibility, launch points, accessible river access, and carrying restoration.
Really? I don't like
So let's really dig into the slide. So I've already went down with the biggest obstacle. Right?
I like
Right. That makes anything down towards the river count. That's maybe consider.
Great.
Well, I decide what can you tell us about like what characters like to use the limitation.
Terrible. And so we already have this and going down.
I mean, in December, the water was, the lower parking area was completely underwater, and it was kind of lapping up against the upper parkway. Like a bunch of us were basically sitting at in the upper parking area, looking a couple feet down the hillside of where the edge of the flood was.
That was a record.
Yeah.
It happened again.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that was 96.
Third
Like, this was basically only as far as 96 is below 64. So it was right on the cusp of being 100 years of that kind of damage. Audibly looked at.
Yeah, don't rush.
Where's the existing trail?
Like more
Trail down there, but it's really steep, I believe, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is a
So after the flood, a lot of that stuff got washed out. Nice. But there is no design trail.
But where is the access coming out this way? Water.
This is all for.
and that's where the boat ramp is. And there had been a very highly informal, unsanctioned trail right past the no trespassing signs into the green space. And that's covered in lots and lots of logs now. And so
There is a trail that's been created.
So then you
It's
go
like
on
a
the factor.
trail there.
Yeah, right, okay, so.
However, it is on.
Yeah.
Southeast.
Mm,
Private
right.
property. It's
There's-
a bit of an interesting issue because the waterways and now waterways. Walking along the beach. Down. It's not that. we don't want them to. That's not the, and they want to keep them out of the water treatment facility. And the intakes that we.
How are those away?
Yeah.
So you want to.
It's top intakes.
Accessibility. might be better.
Kind of unique.
Well, we also have, right?
And there's. Oh, we have a hill site. That runs along this.
Concrete all the way down, then it takes from the bottom. And so it's very dangerous.
We have that, there's a popular.
But they're doing it for so
You have the map.
That's their excuse.
Right.
They're paddlers.
Right.
A paddler.
Oh, but be concerned. Right.
Trying to force that.
Right.
Because of
And
the
then we have
walkway,
it.
yes, on our intakes, ready to dive off, they're on. When they're on the beach, where the natural water line is. That's an.
And it doesn't get the-
They just can't go into the green space, that's private property.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's been an issue ongoing. Dangerous to take. Platform. We clear up sand protection now, we actually move off that push there down.
Having.
So that-
So with that, then we need to, because of erosion. we got-
Pause that. So being able to create a space naturally.
I know.
Yeah. Access. Overhead,
You're not
I-
found?
Location right next to the rent. Having some sort of.
That's
Even expanding that road.
I was like, well, it's just like.
We're trying to. To create.
That wedge PTE and this ODFW doesn't, as a spray. So that's PGE for the power lines.
So we're trying to.
It's like, it's.
Um,
Do they have?
Eight.
It's right,
Get our team, it's not only. Them, like bad jack, that's what the public would have.
Yeah, that's right. Then.
Public, but not. So. That would just strictly. And so.
It's not less.
Access. Right side. Chris?
Yeah. Because I do want to.
Accessible.
Very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so I go one way down the hill, and then every way is a set of stairs that you. So they have no restrictions. Into the road.
Yeah.
That is one of their main right. They have a state, otherwise they drop in and they want to get these stories.
Yes. Yeah, the ramp installed for trailer boats, it's harder to use for.
I remember when
For
White Top.
ways and kayaks and stuff like that, so. It's pretty, it's pretty cement, it's pretty wide. I think you might be able to get two skinnier boats down it. I could, like if you had a couple of drivers and you're holding your breath.
I'm just asking, it's like a ship park, it's like.
Yeah, it's not that big.
Yeah, it's a nice room.
So we probably couldn't add on. Take any part of that.
You probably have to essentially design a second paddle ramp.
I would like, if you're gonna keep people off, understand that. That would also. The stocks.
You know.
Float.
Land houses.
That-
You always want that.
Yeah. Flooding.
That said, there's a reason there aren't a lot of docks in the Clackamas. That's a little hard. Like, here is probably the closest there is to slack water anywhere in the Clackamas outside the reservoirs. That's part of the reason that we want to do all of buildings development. It's about the only place where you can get in a paddle powered watercraft and go out and back. Yeah, rather than simply downstream. That said, like I said, there's a reason that you do not see docks along the Clackamas. They don't last very long. Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the new docks, like on the Gladstone, that's another one that is the river.
Yeah.
Rising falls, like the, like Farmington one and so there's something in another conversation is going on north south.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that's what the center of the project is, the primary element of our sort of launch water.
So they used to have a trailer where they.
People paddle boats.
Back and they used to walk down the edge of the park, down the beach. Or they would walk down the cliffs or through all the rocks. Go that way. And it wasn't fishermen, not necessarily. Once this is, get that season. Swimming is just something. We don't want anybody on the zone, but summer is,
Trying to expand incentive for folks truly that way instead of coming up this way.
So with the flood, our fence lines, we did close it off. The rest of the way there, you have, it's not all the way to the water, but it is pretty close. Yeah. So there's a natural culvert. I remember it's pretty far, right? It was in Russia, I had no idea it was even there. And so we did some processing. In my opinion, because that's a block. And we have two access gates. Put in. So. Now have access to three different locations.
Yeah.
Inside there, so here. That's water.
It is one that was by veritable concrete. Yeah.
And y'all are welcome to like grab pens and stickies yourself. You have notes or thoughts.
It's sad when they close it.
Two areas, that way, if there is a wall, so then have a gate access to get to where there's the area. Or for emergency.
And
Then we do have. Very clear. So we're trying to find ways to cut across. And this is why it's been a challenge, so we will have to, this way. If.
over on this.
And there's cement along that behind it is Blackbird's.
So if we can't have conversations with CGA for some reason that not allowed to be allowed that. This is one of the things we're trying to talk about is so.
We would just read
Like this.
it.
So for now, that's things have to do something like that.
No, that's by a. There's a concession stand by the baseball field, but that.
So that's.
As much as we can. I've been working diligently with the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, so forth, and we're in security over the summer and last summer. To make sure we're in the RV.
Yeah, this is the bottom of it.
Now. This county sheriff's partnership, we changed our ordinance to match Clackamas County. And they were adopted, but they're specific to Clackamas for water, but it is closely matching. finalists can and those farms. So it's easier for them to enforce.
Notice. Thirds,
Yeah.
you know.
And so then we've allowed them to do that, and they've been great. Right. We've seen a huge increase. In the last year, so.
So.
Then we have an issue.
That's exactly what we want. That's fine. Yeah.
Fishermen or.
So, we got focus areas
So
that
it just-
happen.
This further
That's.
furthers that.
Focus on
More
that
than
more
we
than.
create better space.
The riverbank. And we're this.
Driving in is fine.
So everybody's different. Everybody has. Right.
And that's fishing.
It's surrounded by industrial areas, so there's not a neighbor, there's not neighborhoods nearby.
So in addition to the dog, platform access, another one of the elements here is restoration, dealing with the flooding. What are some elements that or some elements of prevention that the do on the site that would help make it more flood resilient, make it a more natural part of the riverway?
Are trying to use this.
Challenge for green landings, vegetation all the way down the river's edge.
There is that one.
Motorboats.
Yeah, they were fenced.
You want a bigger map and like.
Bank is also planting in there as just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That. The erosion.
Yeah, at the very least, in places where it got installed before it ever got installed. But that's not going anywhere.
Above that boundary, what's there now?
Basically above the river outliers. I think there's a little bit of dirt where this is, I think most of the cottonwoods are still upright, and then past that's basically just parking. Just a bunch of asphalt.
So I know these are, so that's not it. So what's the ADA that's out there?
Unfortunately, that's where we're at, water access, them that.
Then it's, where just like. Let me say, it's why they say wait.
Yeah.
Water side.
Like-
So.
Water, even pulsing parking back.
Yes. How far?
Like those are, and things are just fine, it's later things, and how many was the proper channels. It's very clear. Making sure, because I heard you say it, I was trying to write it down. Just not a mistake.
I was thinking maybe just kind of shift the parking footprint back away from the river. Yeah, or at least take out part of it, like cut off the river. The most river proximate part of it, give an equivalent amount of pavement on the backside, maybe a little bit less. It probably doesn't make it wise as either, but just kind of shift some of that pavement. That creates some opportunity with stormwater.
Hi, everyone. Okay, we're gonna wrap up our second round and move into our third round of projects. So for this third round, we're gonna work on 3 projects. We noticed that in round 2, project over at table B, which was the adapted river access at Riverside Park, could use some additional time. So during this third round, we're going to keep that one going for folks who are interested in staying there. Project 126, which is invasive plants removal at Glen Echo wetland. That one is focused on habitat and restoration, and it's going to be moved over here to table C to my left, right next to Andrew. And then project 109 natural shade at Max Patterson Park, focused on play, learning, and delight, is going to be in table A with Tina and Axel over there in the back. So go ahead and choose what project you'd like to focus on for these last 30 minutes.
I'll say this.
Love it.
We built more parking. And changed that one section to park.
One consideration that you experience in general, meant to be very natural area and parks, not parking, natural access. They won't fund parking. Now, the jurisdiction, parking is part of their matching fund. The grant fund themselves, they could take out the existing parking, they can rehab that area, restore that land. But if you have to the jurisdiction, which I think would be less, second, in this case, to,
They would probably not want to do that.
Unless they're also a replacement impervious pavement or something like that. Yeah. All those such hard packed cobble in there, there's really no range to speak of anyways. So it's not it's not a good place to do these water infrastructure.
It seems like the main thing. Some kind of. Extra lights. That's. It seems like people.
That parking.
So I work for Gladstone County. On Saturday here. So right, just to the, I guess, west of parking here, there's now about 8 large. So that is see on the map. So like, if there any plans to. Yeah, there's a couple. I guess the video here might show that that's this is a parking lot to the right. And there's about, I don't know, 6 or so under some lines. Yeah, they would be like right around. Yeah, like right around. This. All right, they would be parallel. Yeah. Just wanted to let you know the new thing that's not gonna show up on your topography.
Okay, I wanted to say that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you've heard of, like you've heard about all the work that we're doing there.
Yeah, I saw the, well, they said they had the water.
Yeah. And that goes into people. Yeah, one thing we discovered afterwards is that they didn't use a lot of concrete.
Both here did.
So one other piece that we've talked about in the past with folks who are really interested in kind of the vulnerabilities, universal access side of things is not just kind of the boat ramp itself, but also having things like changing rooms or a rail for getting into and out of kayaks and other things that are kind of providing some of that usability for people who kind of be.
It's like all eBay park.
So some of that kind of stuff, I think they've got stuff like that too, but so stuff that's more like making the whole experience from the parking lot more accessible, so not just the dock itself.
It sounds like it's pretty clear on what the major elements are on the site. Let's start talking a little bit about budget, what sort of things to run. I think the problem is we have 3,000 square feet. I'm gonna say farming is gonna be. So I think that's probably where I would start. Just a little bit, make it accessible to the infrastructure that reaches to it. It's really the more accessible thing is to get to. I'd say they're not 6. And then if you want additional like facilities nearby, so maybe another 30,000 there, support facilities.
And it's probably gonna need some I don't know if the water district's going to take on down for maintenance, they could probably use some actual restrooms. It's another site where it's got porta potties, I'm sure that they've improved with the clientele, but it's still kind of a rough.
I don't know if there are other elements that would be grant funded.
Clearly not. Very.
That's a pavilion.
And then this is
It's just out in the middle of the.
So maybe have access following that on first there.
Yeah. Yeah, let's. Yeah, this is new. In fact, because there have been various people interested in doing something related, like take out some of the turf grass and put into fallen over garden meadowscape or something like that. And again, there's hardly any oil to speak of, so you'd either want like a rocky site next to a lot of tall grass and seedings and stuff like that, or also especially import topsoil and raise beds or a mound or something.
It would should be above the flood.
Yeah. I think most of the park is floodplain and a lot of the area where things are built is floodway, which add it's even harder. I think I've got film footage of it. With that, I did that. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the idea. Project area that once the flood.
So that is the park full version.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. So all that stuff, most of that stuff you see underwater is the lower parking lot on the road into, that is from the upper parking lot.
Just so relative to say like the pavilion, how high does that come up? To the new plantings or?
Yeah. I'd say it, yeah, I think it came right up to about where the floodway line is, so that looks like just about right. And that's what the green space looks like, as far as into it as I could get. Yeah, it was rough.
Gonna go. Yeah, especially that's, I mean, you're talking about in inundation areas. It might not be able to be afforded, but it might have to be something that is like in water. That means not only do you have the cost of the thing itself, but the. Permitting.
I mean, essentially you have to do it's called a no rise analysis. And you also have to prove that literally anything you put in, if you have to have an engineer stamp that the fence post you want to install is not going to cause flood. Yeah. And sometimes, and that's also assuming that the flood maps are accurate, which they mostly are, but
much better than they used to.
but yeah, but if you find that the maps don't seem to jive with reality, you might even have to do a CLOMA, which adds even another 200,000 to your budget and another 6 months of work.
Yeah, and then it's sense.
Yeah. And at that point, you basically give up on the project by a fifth of vodka.
That's a lot cheaper. But yeah, so I mean, it's basically the money is the launch, the access, the permitting, that's next to it. And maybe you can throw in some planting and little trails. to connect the pavilion.
Maybe a trail all the way across because the baseball and softball fields get a lot of use, and so kind of connecting the river to the rec infrastructure in a way that's not just walking along the driveway would be great. Because because those get a lot of use by the high schools and the leagues and stuff, and so that's always been kind of the family friendly draw in the park, and then down by the river is more kind of yeah. Yeah, so the ball fields are where it's kind of family friendly part of the park, and then down by the rivers, at least historically, where people go to stand by the sign and say, don't do all these things, and they drink their beer, they do all the things. Yeah.
All right. Sounds like not a lot to be consensus about, one thing. But I think it's a
Lot of context.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really,
There are definitely a lot of people not here who are interested in this as well. We made a previous run at trying to do something like this in the past and couldn't quite get the first chunk of funding to, but we got a whole coalition of people who are interested. So there's someone from U.S. Fish and Wildlife who's very, very much about accessible river recreation. We've already had some contacts with WPGE who are interested, but we've been working with Soul River, who are a great organization. They want to do stuff here and Yak Farm and.
One of your coalition is the Sunrise Community Coalition. And we're also working on getting. And like you said, it would be nice to have, basically.
And so it feels like there's a lot of. There's a lot in place already to make this out. I just kind of need that. Just kind of need that angel investment to get the ball. I think a lot of cyclones could happen here. But I mean, even with Ray at the water district now, that's made things better. And then we've got the revegetation money coming in. We've got the art piece going up, and it feels like this first,
April or May is what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still waiting on the permit stuff to get finished, but basically it's ready to go up as soon as we get the.
Where on the side is it gonna be?
I think it's gonna be pretty close to the ramp, kind of over towards the natural area. So there's a big maple stump with a bunch of suckers coming out. We're gonna clean that up a bunch, and there's some Jersey barriers in there that we want to take out, and we're gonna put a pedestal behind and mount the sculpture on the pedestal. So I don't know if you've seen Bob York's stuff up like Galen Bridge. It's part of that. He's doing the art as part of that series. So we've got one also going at the driveway like part.
Yeah, I would say over there.
Fabulous. Well, thanks for working on this project. Thanks for the information.
Oh, yeah, it's Adam Torres.
I think you're maybe.
We'll definitely be in contact. This process.
It's nice to meet you finally in
I know,
person.
right? For your next step is set of workshops and going back to all the jurisdictions and asking for details of it too.
Yeah, they have a lot.
Or getting to a final, a design that's final to get.
I see art sidewalks. That's my daily walking commute to work. And I got the south side.
This is more of did this one.
Just that. And I think that's because that was a lot of time.
I would say.
And if we would be to replace all that with a big positive.
Thank you. Thank you. So good. You.
That's perfect. Because I didn't have to talk. I could then just write everything and you were hearing that. That was fabulous. Yes. That is so, yeah, I can just draw. And then.
Like this, that currently has this house, right? So to do the cable, it's part of the outlets and see what outlets.
It really speaks to the place, having someone.
Yeah.
It's really. You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew and I put together.
It's a regression, it flows. All the map says for you. Out, but there has to be. It seems maybe like this next one to. On the other hand, I also suspect it needs a style. That moves waves and basically just.
I haven't had this much. I need to know getting from.
And probably just need.
It's like October, and it's on for a while.
Weeks here or there.
So it's interesting, you're, when he was pointing out that. It's not like.
I want some for Tara.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can get this.
Even lower when you get into back, we're higher here than. So this is like, you said, it's, but sure, yes.
Yeah, all of that. All of that literally got to know him before as a chair.
There's some kind of way to get that water out.
It's actually just.
Yeah, and it must go that way, right? Yeah, it's gotta be soda, it's gotta be measured as a pipe.
I'm not like, build a boardwalk through the wetlands that are the wetland itself, but it's something that's, it's helping for the shape.
Oh, yeah, maybe just a small, kind of a stop there. And then they want to.
We got 10,000 trees, right? We got trees.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's, like I said, there's enough space to build a sidewalk all the way across on the south side. Couldn't do it on the north side. There's one like other stuff, ditches and all sorts of vegetation and fencing and stuff. When you also boardwalk, that couple down, but the very least, it's wide enough to control the. Sidewalk here, like. I also.
Or maybe a better as far as like connectivity, circulation. There's 28 for.
It's like.
Yeah. That's.
Yeah. It could be a very nice thing. It's like this.
Well, I mean, this is HOA green space. In part of the and security.
Yeah.
Still got money.
So all this part, yeah, so most of the treatment stuff, there's more of the.
Now I like.
Outside of the. Plus, you know, a lot of great words. All read very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I think you just stripped that whole system. Like an earthquake. And it was still uphill. You know, it wasn't like it fell. Like when it fell in someone's backyard. Massive. It feels like there's a lot of wildlife potential here, like walking around the other side of your wood ducks and stuff, there's like you get more the good stuff down this way that's. You feel that, durable.
Down in the winter.
So that's from a restoration perspective, you're saying it's maybe less susceptible to
Yeah. So. Yeah, like.
Is that, is the, you said we across, what are the cover in there?
Some little patches of spirea and there's a kind of a willow thicket that's right up against the road. Obviously, I haven't been back in there because it's standing water in August. But it's.
Rides in our part of houses.
So much trash.
That's the one.
I pick up what I can,
Combination retention pond and natural. Yeah.
I think even just making that look nice or not scrap, and be like, it's a little bit.
Children play.
Except for.
But like. Yeah. And it's all words, thank you. That's on the south side. Yeah, like they're all on both sides. So if you're walking along pulling you up, and you're looking south. Yeah, or also north.
Some of the same thing. Another thing you can consider is if you are doing lighting in this area.
I think you got,
there's
I
like,
think you got over here. Talking about,
what I call.
this project.
Like share, like ideas of the hospital. Bus stops are like full.
Breaking out.
Like,
While you wait.
and then there's like, everything's just where.
Because the wait there is.
I guess we're trying to get to that.
There's another.
Overlap.
The bus stops have internet.
This is a longer term. More engineering.
It is obviously just a good.
Still thriving, but they're to flooding.
Into
things.
Yeah.
So there,
It's like,
For back or one time, I was just originally solid.
so, it's very solid.
And that's also a thing, so it's yeah, so.
But that's gonna be.
So that's actually not increasing, you have to subdivide it so that it will slide all.
That out.
Yeah, this out. That's basically just a big grass. Yeah, but like, I think they did have something right there once. And then they play golf. Like for the city of Santa Maria, that is a potential park site.
That was the thing.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would have to. They'd have to convince the homeowner to subdivide the property, and then they would have to annex it.
Neighbors.
So I don't think that's actually even within. Yeah, going on, so, yeah. Clinical.
And they're not some shade for the. She has the same motion.
Because you're right, at first it just seemed like, well, like. In a neighborhood.
Yeah, there's a neighborhood. Yeah. That kind of why you're kind of unfortunate building out this case. The area is really. We play bunko and stuff.
Walkways.
But like everywhere.
Raised walkway.
But I don't think like this, we have a year. So we like.
Maybe all of them.
We like hit them over.
They don't know how.
I've been working six now, like.
There's where, here's the past she was over by here.
Yeah.
It just have cost you that maybe to go around the back. Oh, that's what I did, yeah.
Oh.
Still is not the same. Not as same as the Latino community.
What is this? We already have this description.
Okay, there's another. That's all the back is there.
Special about this. Oh, have you heard about that?
That's that is the operational part of the chimney company.
You gotta put it. Yes.
And I suppose that they,
We have more on Wednesday.
you know, obviously, interested in, you know, everything in that.
Oh, yeah, they do.
That's, that's hard too, because I think the over comes out basically. Clear.
That might be in.
Okay.
That.
This end here, honestly, when the light.
I understand the
Like.
lights.
Some shade across that. Or to this house on the side, yeah. You kind of try to stick it.
Sorry, I've been doing your FC. Were you on?
What other house that we have a boardwalk?
Oh, actually. Oh, great.
Shelter.
Probably.
$100,000 materials and $100,000 capital. Maybe the football and plans.
This is a good question.
Yes, it's a spray operator, I'd say if you do a, I could do a mow, spray and then have a spray, you would get most of it, that would be. 2008.
We talked about, yeah, there was like this one.
Yeah, I mean, getting one, like, it's still hard, you have to do the handfuls, it's still get it.
Everyone,
Main reason still maybe.
last time I interrupt, I swear, because we are closing up. Thank you so much for coming and participating and helping develop these projects. Just have a couple of announcements. There are tamales still in the back. Please take them with you if you would like. We would love for those trays to be empty when we are wrapping up and cleaning up. But I know y'all are finishing up some last thoughts, so go ahead and do that, and then we will finish for today. But thank you so much for coming and joining us.